What is going on, guys? So I wanted to go ahead and get into a pretty in-depth version of how to crossman, why to crossman, what makes it so effective, um, and basically explain the defensive meta to you. Now, a lot of people know everybody's in 3-3-5, right? People are in 3-3-5. They're cross-manning. They're blitzing heavy. Like, you can do so much out of 3-3-5. That is the reason why it's the meta. That's why you see everybody in it. But most people don't truly understand why you're cross-manning. Like, people will come out and you'll see a lot of players that are solid, but, not elite by any means. And they just come out and they cross-man their linebackers and they call it a day. And then they wonder why they can beat Joe Blow, but as soon as they match up against somebody that's really good, then they're going to lose every single time. That's because they don't understand what they're truly doing. You see a lot of people that, like I said, they come out, they cross-man their linebackers, and they're done. Like, that's it. Hopefully it stops it. If not, they're in trouble. So let's go ahead and talk about what you're doing first, and then why. So, first and foremost, you got your best two coverage corners need to be at safety. No matter how fast they are, you want them at safety. If they're 98 speed, 99 speed, your best two guys. In this case, Dion, Rod, those are your safeties. Your linebackers, now obviously the faster, the more man coverage, the better. But you don't need great guys in these spots. You just need players that are fast. So if you have Ed Reed or anybody, any safety that's fast, like Apke, for instance, if you're playing with Washington for whatever reason, you could put Apke in one of these spots, and that would be a great safety to crossman because it's all about speed. Corner, this guy's going to be blitzing or manned up depending on what you're doing. And then these outside guys, they don't really matter. So, like, you just want tall players. It's the way that I look at it. Tall players are what you need. The reason I say that is because they're either in flats or they're in quarter zones. There should really be no reason for them to be in anything else. Unless you're just in a stock two-man under, which is going to be extremely rare to run. To be honest, it's one of those things you kind of see in CFMs more so than anything else. But yeah, quarter zones, cloud flats, pretty much the only thing that these two guys will be in. So tall players, high jump, that's what you want. Hit power, obviously, if you have it. But, so, just to recap really quick. Best two coverage players, I'm talking speed, man coverage, agility. That's who you want at your safety spots. Free safety, strong safety. The corner spot is going to be just kind of your wild card. You're just going to put a player in this spot. If you're blitzing heavy, you just want somebody fast. If you're manning him up, obviously you want somebody with man coverage. But for the most part that guy's going to be blitzing. I would say probably 80-90% of the time. Linebacker spots, all three spots just need to be speed. Doesn't matter anything else, just speed, speed, speed. That's all you need. Outside guys, tall, good hit power, good jumping. That's about it. Obviously, if you have a guy that's 78 speed in this spot, you can't put him in a quarter zone. So they got to be somewhat decent, but these guys aren't going to be the ones responsible for stopping Tyreek Hill. I'll put it that way. Now the plays that you'll use when you're running this, you're going to run Tampa 2 95% of the time. You'll run cover 4 drop, and then you'll run cover 3 sky drop. Those are the three that you use. Like I said, cover 2 man is one of those things you kind of see in CFMs, people that don't really know what they're doing. You see that. You see cover 2 man. So yeah, let's get into it. So first and foremost, we're just going to come out on bunch buck sale. This is going to give us everything we need to see. So, your typical bunch sale setup right here. You can fade him. So, they will run something similar to this, right? Now, first and foremost, you have two different things that you can do. So if you are only interested in cross-manning one person, so like say for instance you're only interested in cross-manning the post route or the drag route, for instance, you could come out in this, grab the corner, and flip your play. Now by doing that, it's just going to offset this corner. It allows you to man up anybody on the right side of the field. You'll see if we don't have it man, or if we don't flip the play, if we go to man up, so if we were to try to man up the right hand side, we can't, right? So in this setup, or this scenario, we know that chances are circle is going to be on a drag route. We just know it. So what we would want to do is we just want to flip the play, cross-man, circle. Now, like I said, this is only if you are cross-manning one person. Now, in this scenario, you can make your adjustments. So what you typically would do is what you would see a lot of the times is you would see the user, typically this middle linebacker, would then be responsible for manning up and chasing this route over here. So then these two guys, these outside linebackers, are wild cards. You'll see a lot of the times people will blitz them. So in a scenario like this, this is what you will see. And then you would see this guy drop down into like an inside third. And then, like I said, you are at that point responsible for guarding anything that is going in this general direction. As you see with my user, anything that's going in this area of the field, that's what you're looking to guard. Whether it's a corner route, a deep corner, whether it is a fade route, anything that's your responsibility. Now, a lot of the times what you will see in this scenario is you would actually see them put that guy in a quarter, and then they would also press. So it would be something like this. Knowing what you're about to face, you would bait down on the drag, you would bait down on the X route, typically going to the flats, and then if he's not going to the flats, that's fine. But you're at that point dropping back into coverage to guard this crossing route being ran by square. And the reason that you know that is because you cross-manned circle. So you know circle on his drag is not going to be open, right? So you know you're basically looking for that route. So just to go ahead and show you what I'm talking about, you'll see motion amount, hike. Now, the pressure's going to come in, right? But pay attention to how the drag was covered. You're going to go to instant replay. You'll see that the drag route at no point is going to be open, right? Now, like I said, don't pay any attention to this route because that's who I would be using in this scenario. The drag route is pretty much everybody's little bailout route on this play. So basically, you go chase the post, cool, I'm going to throw the drag. But by cross-manning that one route and knowing where your user responsibility is, knowing that you're looking at that post route, now you know, that's not open. You could probably throw it. You might get a yard. You're not getting anything with it. And then if you try to throw it too fast, if you were to throw it right in this spot right here, this could be picked. A lot of people, they'll see that linebacker blitzing and they're like, all right, cool, user's in the middle of the field, just quick throw this drag. He's going to throw it right into the guy that is crossing. A lot of the times that will be picked off, or he'll get hit as he throws or as he goes to catch it, and he could end up dropping the ball, could be getting picked off. That's if you're going to cross-man one person. You want to typically cross-man the guy that's just going short. That way you can manually guard the guy going deep. Now, obviously there are plays that, counter that, right? Like verticals, for instance. The setup for verticals is a little bit off. So cross-manning one person in this scenario isn't always going to work, right? Because if we set that up the exact same way, so we've got it set up, same exact crossman. Now if they're in verticals, if you watch, so like we would be responsible for guarding this guy. Go ahead, make our same adjustments. See, boom. Well, now you got the post over the middle of the field, right? So like, that's why bunch is so effective. Is there's so many different route combos that you have to worry about that simply manning up one person, crossman or not really going to be that effective. But in a like a trips tight end, you know who's crossing, you know who's not. So you can crossman this short guy. And I'll show you guys that in a later video. But what you would do against somebody that is really good at a bunch, that is mixing up their plays really well, is you would man up the safeties. And this is what you'll see a lot of people do. They will crossman both safeties. They will put the outside guys in quarters, and they will press. Baseline press. And now in this case, you determine, you know, what do you think is more likely? Do you think that you need to worry about Allen? Like, Allen's typically going to be on a corner route. Like, his main route that people use is a corner route, right? So you just man him up. Don't worry too much about anything, about cross-manning. Now you can still, at this point, you can either blitz, so you're moving this corner in and blitzing him. That's going to be your 4-man rush. And then you have the option to freestyle. So you're like, all right, well, you know, they might use the tight end. They might throw to the tight end a lot. So the tight end could be on a flat, or he could be on a drag or a street. Pretty much everything the tight ends are on, right? Right here. So you just cross-man him, and now you're good. So it really is about knowing what your opponent's trying to do. If you're going to cross-man these safeties like this, typically you want these guys in quarter zones, just in case they go deep. If you want to just man them up on the outside guys like this, then you can leave these guys out in their cloud flats, because you know they're not going to get beat deep, and typically you know you're not going to worry too much about them getting crazy. The only thing at this point you got to worry about is a drag route. So like the post routes, you know, it's not going to be completely bagged, but against a baseline cover 2, if they throw it late, it's going to get picked off. You'll see a lot of people do this because this does a good job of taking away what a lot of people like to do. It takes away verticals, takes away the deep fade, obviously. But what you'll typically see from people that really know what they're doing is they're going to cross-man there, and then they're going to quarter. This does a great job. That's why you see a lot of people trying to abuse the flats. You'll see people typically wheeling the running back. You see a lot of this because then it puts your opponent really in a bind, because now you got to worry about 2 flats. So cross-manning like this and blitzing isn't really an option. So like what you would have to do in that scenario, you really never want to man up the running back, but you can put him into a cloud flat. And then, like I said, you have to know where your responsibility is. So like in this scenario where we've cross-manned the safeties, you know that you're not really going to get beat deep to the outside left. Like you just know you're not. So where you can get beat deep is going to be in this area over here. So pretty much right off the bat, you're going to want to drop straight back and try to guard Julio or Keenan Allen, whoever's going deep on this side, just to make sure that you don't get beat deep. So, for instance, say they did this. I'm just going to go ahead, I'm going to hike the ball. You'll see that can't really throw that, right? And it's because of the quarter zone. So I'm going to go to the instant replay. You can cross-man it, so like right off the bat, a high point right there might be completed. Like you might be able to high point that. But by having the quarter out here, you're not going to beat him to the outside right, so you're going to be forced to throw it to the inside to where the Crossman is. You see, he's basically bracketed. Now, if you have the huge speed advantage, you can fit that in there. That's why I said you kind of got to pay attention with your user to that area of the field. Just speed dependent, right? Now, the drag route being Crossman. You'll see by us dragging the slot guy, he's open. So like that would be an adjustment that you got to pay attention to. If they drag the slot, which not many people do, he will beat this adjustment right here because we're banking on the play Z spot, right? Most people run Z spot or a corner strike, something similar to that. Let me go find it. So, come back out in the 3-3-5, Tampa 2. So if we make those same adjustments, right? So we're cross-manning the safeties, outside quarters, and then your freestyle players are the linebackers in the corner. So when doing this, you can go dual clouds like that, or you could man up. Like I said, most people, when you face them, you want to man up Allen with this guy, this outside linebacker on the right. And you want to do that for the Z-spot play. Most people are going to be running this. This is a huge setup that people like to run. So if you just man him up by a guy on this side, you know that you're going to be able to kind of take this away. Now, what you want to do is, as I mentioned, these are your wild cards, the linebackers, and then also the corner. So you can bluff blitz this guy to get a 3-rec. You can put him into a cloud. Or you could just simply main him up. So you could main him up on the running back if you want. Most of the time, like I said, I like going cloud with him, or I bluff blitz to get a 3-rec. And then you would man up this guy. So like you would man up the tight end in here. Now you've got everybody cross-manned. You've got the one guy that could be running the corner route going to the right-hand side. So where are you going to go with your user? In this case, you've got basically two options. You know that if the running back's out on a wheel or any sort of flat pass, that's going to be open. So you kind of got to pay attention to it. Or you need to drop straight back to this right-hand side because we've cross-manned that guy, right? So Julio, technically on an outside fade, could get over the top. So if you want the 3-rec, you can leave it. If not, you kind of got to pay attention to the outside right, also the running back. So typically, I'm going to give them the short stuff all day long. Like, I'm not going to take away the short stuff unless I absolutely have to. So if they were to run this, my first instinct is going to be to drop back and guard here, right? So I'm going to be back here. You'll see they're going to be trying to hit that route right there. Now, they can get that, right? I mean, that was open. I mean, really, when you go to the replay. But what's not open is the drag route. So, like, you know, at this point, the drag's completely bagged. So your user is responsible for guarding this corner route, which is basically, like I said, it's all about knowing where you need to go. And you can tell just basically where you need to go just off of your adjustments. It doesn't even really matter what play your opponent picks. So once again, like, we cross-man the safeties, outside quarters, and then we can mix it up, right? So we can cross-man Allen, bluff blitz or 3-rec this guy, depending on whatever you want. And now it's like in this scenario, we still got to worry about this area over the field here, but we can man up to tight end, right? So like, say they're just abusing us in the flats. They're hitting us with, we'll go buck sale, right? So say they're doing something like this. You'll see people wheel, drag, and then slant. So like, you'll see this combination right here. And mainly what they're looking to hit is the flats to either the tight end or the running back. And if you jump one of those, you got the backside drag slant combo. So with the ability to just simply man up this tight end, and then you've got Allen, in this scenario, cross-manned, you know that, once again, your adjustment is to guard deep over here. So like in this scenario, with us not three wrecking, but the outside quartering the outside right, and if they motion that guy out there, we know that guy's not going to bomb us. So we're going to look, once again, to guard Keenan Allen right up these seams, because that's pretty much the only spot that they have. Now, we're going to go ahead. Just imagine us guarding Keenan Allen back here, and you'll see slants bag. Pretty much the only route they could throw to is that post, and that's not exactly open, right? So back to the instant replay. The flat is bagged. The running back is open initially, but they're throwing it into a cloud flat or a hard flat, depending on whichever one you put out there, right? The slant isn't really open. Or I guess that's the drag. That's the drag by Keenan, I believe. Yeah, so like that, not really open. Slant is bagged. Slant's running back into the corner route, or excuse me, the safety, and that's bagged. So now you know, like I said, pay attention. This would be your user right here, Brian Dawkins. So you're basically just running back in this area of the field in case there's a streak. Well, you see there's no streak. So basically at that point, you're just going to be like, all right, cool, I'm going to guard the deepest route, which is going to be this post route. And then they have absolutely nothing. By the time that they figure out they have nothing, pressure's coming in, right? So like I said, cross-manning is really effective if you know where your user is supposed to be. If you don't know where your user needs to be, cross-manning cannot save you. Like I said, most people, when they come out, this is what they're going to do. They're just cross-manning the two outside guys, and then they're calling it a day. You can dot that up easily. It's when you start mixing in, the safety cross-mans, and then you man up these linebackers on the routes that you think they're going to guard. So, like I said, in this scenario, you could set this up, you have everything absolutely bagged, and in this case you go, okay, well, I'm watching the tight end. You know that the only thing that they can bomb you with, they can bomb you over the top here, and then with this setup, with us blitzing the corner, we know that the tight end could technically hit us on a flat pass. We're not going to worry too much about him going on a drag. If he's on a drag, just give him the 2-3 yards, call it a day. When you're cross-manning, though, you can't give up the big play because eventually they will make a mistake. So, you're going to just drop back. Like I said, you're going to drop back just making it look like you're guarding him. Now, if they block, so say they do the nation type setup, pressure's coming in, nothing really open. It's just, like I said, you got to know what you're doing. Now, like I said, bunch is probably the best formation to combat this because you have routes going everywhere. So, if your opponent is running a lot of verticals, for instance, like I've talked about where we man this linebacker up right over top of Allen to stop Z-spot, if they're running more verticals than they are Z-spot, then you just cross-man them, right? These linebackers are your wild cards. Really, the corner is too, depending on, if you want to blitz them or not. So, you can man up all three of these players on anybody you want to. So, they are the wild card spots. You can man them up right over top to stop or take away, that deep corner route, like I said. Or, you can cross-man to take away the drags, the slants, or in this case, the vertical, the crossing route. So you could do this right here. Boom, boom, man those guys up. This guy would, let's see, so you've got Allen Crossman here. Now you could pay attention to the running back. You could pay attention to the tight end. Like, you just man up the tight end that theoretically would be going on a flat. And your opponent really doesn't have much. I mean, in this case, verticals, they could probably motion out the guy to the far right and hit you with that. Or you can just put this guy over here into a cloud flat, and now that route's gone too. Like, it's so crazy at how versatile this formation is, which is why most pros use it, is because you have 3 guys that you can do anything with. You can cross-man the safeties, or you could simply man them up on the outside guys. Like, you can either leave them manned up outside-wise, or you can cross-man, just depending on what you're feeling. Or they could be in the stock cover too, and then you could cross-man the linebackers or blitz heavy or whatever you want. Like I said, the way that most people that play at a high level play, they're going to be doing this. They're going to cross-man the safeties. For one, it makes it better to where, you know, if you're mixing in runs and passes and all that jazz, you really can't deal too much with that, because the safeties will come into the run fit. You can also move these guys down farther. Just going to help you stop the drag, stop the slant, stuff like that. And then you just get used to adjusting with these linebackers, and you'll see that you can stop pretty much anything. You'll see here, we're going to run verticals. Once again, your responsibility would be to guard this kind of deep middle area of the field. Anything else should be completely bagged. Like, this would be how you would stop verticals. Now, most people, when they run verticals, they're still going to block the running back. They're going to do this setup right here, motion this guy out. So, like I said, I'm just going to mimic dropping back deep. Pretty much you're, at this scenario, watching the tight end. Verticals is bagged, crossing routes bagged. I mean, it's completely dead. So knowing the setups that the offense has obviously helps, right? But as you get into the game, you can know just right off the bat that 2 of their receivers, you know, their drags, their slants, that type of stuff's going to be dead just by cross-manning these safeties. Now, when you cross-man, as I mentioned, almost always you want to put these guys out here in quarters. If you don't want them on quarters, then if you're going to cross-man, you pretty much have to man up the safeties like this. And this does a solid job of taking away, you know, the routes, but it's not your best bet. Like I said, to me, I prefer, when you're cross-manning, to cross-man the safeties, 2 outside quarter zones, and then if you want to still have cloud flats out there, you can do this right here. Put both your outside linebackers in clouds, and now you're responsible for the middle of the field. You can also 3-rec the blitzing corner. That will help you out in terms of guarding the middle. So say you're back deep like that. Just gonna click off of him so he actually goes back deep, and you'll see drag's dead. If I wait long enough, you saw, like, at the very last second you were able to cross, like, you were able to throw that, but it was pretty much bagged over the middle of the field, right? So flat pass, you could throw it, you could pick up a couple yards, you're going to get hit by the cloud flat. The drag's completely bagged, as you see there. This route is super bagged up until he just gets to the point where he's running against Arenas, who's the 3-rec. By the time he gets the separation, the ball goes out of bounds. I mean, it's that effective. Like I said, you just got to know what you're doing. like I said, most people that think they know what they're doing, they're going to cross-man the linebackers. They'll probably 3-rec the safety, or that linebacker, right? Excuse me, that corner, and then they just take their user and go different places. Like this, it's not really that easy. I mean, you can do this and you can be successful, but people are going to have setups that attack this. You know, they're going to abuse the R1. They're going to abuse the tight end. They're going to abuse the running back. So getting a feel for what your opponent wants, where they're going to go in key situations, you want to man those players up with these linebackers. Like, you can play on this corner. One thing that I've seen that a lot of people don't do is they don't ever, like, they'll move this corner into place, but then they'll still sit on one of the linebackers, right? So you can say you man up this scenario right here, right? So you've got everybody manned up besides the hold on, I messed that up. Besides the tight end and the running back. So like in this scenario, you can just sit on this corner and you can sprint towards the middle of the field for a drag. You can sprint towards the opposite side of the field to guard the flat, or you can guard the running back. Like you don't have to sit on one of those linebackers. It's just easier to stop the run. Now, when running this, like I said, you can blitz, right? So you can mix it up. Blitz setup is just to crash your D-line up, move this corner to where he's got the same blitz angle as the defensive end. You see how they're both kind of rushing towards that tackle? Doesn't have to be exact, just set them there. And then in this case, you would blitz this outside linebacker, and then you would blitz, then you would cross man or man up this linebacker right here, because you don't need him blitzing. That's going to be your standard 5-man rush. Now, if you're hell-bent on getting pressure, like you absolutely just want to bring pressure that your opponent's not going to be able to pick up, you want to blitz this middle linebacker towards the side of the tight end, and then you're going to play on this linebacker right here. So now, if they are, say they're set up, we'll set up our coverage to be what we want. Right, so we've got that cross man. In this scenario, we know we're bringing pressure. We have to go guard this deep middle of the field. Like we are responsible for this guy going on a streak. But so you'll see, just imagine that's there. The max protect, you're gonna get people coming in, right? Like they're just gonna dumb out you're not gonna have any time to really hit it. So by cross manning, like I said, these safeties, you're going to take away the primary opponent's, bailout routes, while also doing a good enough job of slowing down the quick passes to the deeper routes, and then you're going to just play anything that goes deep that's attacking the deep sideline. That's just the way that, you can run this 3-3-5. That's the best way that I can really explain it. Is the wild cards are your linebackers. You can do whatever you want with them. Take away your opponent's main routes. The safeties, you want to cross-man them to the outside guys. When you do that, outside corners go into the quarter zones. You don't want to put the outside guys into, deep halves or anything like that. Deep halves will get killed by wheel routes. They'll get killed by a lot of things, honestly. But quarter zones so you'll see like left on this right stick is the outside quarter. That's what you want. Now you want to baseline and press, and then just make sure you don't get hit with the baseline shit. So you're good to go. It really is that simple in terms of cross manning, and knowing what to do is obviously, if you know what routes could be coming, great. You can really bag it. If you don't, this generic setup where you're cross-manning the safeties and then manning up the linebackers on the routes you think are there, and then knowing where you need to be. So that's the way that I like to cross-man. Like I said, you can do so many different things with this. You see, in this scenario, I've got a hard flat for the running back if he goes on a wheel route. I've got Arenas on the 3-rec. And then, once again, I'm responsible for this part of the field right here. Now, if they flip the play, your adjustments are going to be still the same. The only thing that changes really is going to be, the alignment. It's like in this scenario, I know at this point, cross-manning R1, Keenan Allen, doesn't really work. So, like, I would just make adjust back to a cloud flat or a hard flat, and then I would man up the linebacker on him. They would probably flip back. Like, this is where the flip game comes into play that's so damn annoying, right? It's because you're basically, just making these adjustments over and over again. But if you get used to the quick adjustments, you can make these adjustments so easy because you're not worried about the outside guys. The outside guys are cross-manned. It's all the people in the middle of the field that you got to worry about. So, in this scenario, we're good. We know that no matter what they do, bite down to the flats, you're guarding deep. Pretty much, if they don't throw to the flat, they have nothing. I mean, it's that effective. Like I said, most people do it wrong. They do it to where they cross-man these linebackers on the outside guys, and they don't do anything. Like, cross-manning this linebacker on the drag isn't going to completely stop the drag route for whatever reason. It just doesn't stop the drag the same way that cross-manning the safety does. Now, the clouds are nice because the clouds, are annoying to get over the top of, but anybody that's running bunch knows how to get over the cloud flats anyway, right? So you can do stuff like this and just take away, say, like I said, say verticals is coming. Say they're setting up verticals. You're going to cross-man Allen. You're going to man up the tight end here. And your responsibility stays the same. You're guarding this deep area in the middle of the field. And then whatever they decide to throw, you see nothing's really open. They throw it. That's a 50-50 ball. That's either a pick or aggressive catch or a drop. Like, that's not a route you really want to throw. And that was without setting up the blitz, right? Because I could have set that up and just moved him back here, and now the blitz is set up. Or I could have put him into a 3-rec to help take away the middle of the field. I could put him into a spy to take, the mobile quarterback away. There's just so many different things you can do. But like I said, I hope this video helped explain how to cross-man. And then now I want to get into my actual offense, which will explain why my offense is so difficult to cross-man. So yeah, that's it. Like I said, hopefully this is a little bit more in-depth for you. Let's talk about one more formation real quick. I know bunch is the meta. Like, you'll see, cross-manning bunch is what you need to know. But say, for instance, so I don't have trips tight end, it doesn't look like. Trio offset. So this will give me the same alignment as trips tight end at least. So with trips tight end, you know that the options that they have to cross-man, or that you would need to cross-man, so like you see circle, triangle, both have the deep crossing routes. So PA shot go, it's on one, PA counter go, PA shot wheel. Those two plays have different crossing routes that both need to be cross-manned. So what I like to do is I only like to cross-man the outside guy, right? So like I would do this right here. Typically, like corners, was it doubles in or something like that? You got the deep corner route, so you can man him up just straight over the top. I forget which one it actually is, but I mean you can just man him up. And then with these linebackers, like I said, you can do whatever you want. So like I like to man up the running back and also the tight end. It's like this is typically what I'm doing, right? So like I'm manning up the tight end, I'm manning up the running back, and now in this case, I am responsible for over here anything that's going to cross deep towards this side of the field. The only thing that you have to worry about when doing this is you like to put an inside third to take away verticals. And then this guy is pretty much the guy that you want deep. And you want this guy manned up for PA shot wheel. Basically, this is the way I like to play it. Now, yes, if they throw a route to Y, it's like a PA counter go. That guy's technically on like a corner route. Or he's on like a deep, or on, was it, PA... I forget the name of the play, but there's a play where he is on a post route going towards the middle of the field. Like, you know that your responsibility with this alignment is to guard Brown. You're going to be guarding this guy. But with that said, everything else is pretty much bagged. So now you see that you're going to guard that guy. So boom, man. Now look, you see, like, you got the deep cross, nothing over the top of it. Like I said, you kind of got to pay attention to that. But for the most part, and I'll do a full breakdown once I get the actual plays, when I get it in a playbook. But trips tight end is a lot harder to crossman, because you do have so many different routes that typically I blitz it. I blitz trips tight end and force them to, you know, throw shallow on me. And I make this adjustment right here. So, like, I make that adjustment, I blitz heavy, and then I will force my opponent to throw pretty much shallow. I'm going to force them to guard, you know, to hit me with the baby in, or to hit me with a hitch route. I'm never going to give them that deep crosser that they're looking for. Just the way that I play trips tight end. Like I said, I'll do that in a separate video. I just want to talk about cross-manning primarily in this one, and then we'll get into how to bag trips and how to do all that type of stuff next video. So, like I said, hopefully you guys enjoyed. Like I said, give me feedback, whatever you guys want to see. I know these videos are long-winded, and the general premise is still the same. So, like, you can make the adjustments, but the key is knowing where you're supposed to be with your user, and then that's it. Like I said, give me feedback. Let me know what you guys think. Later.